Get that energy in there.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be making some chicken sandwiches. As always, the recipes are going to be down in the description below, so let's not waste any time and let's jump right in.
And lean it up to the camera. There we go.
Let's get started by making some brioche buns. We're going to start by measuring 160 grams of water inside of this measuring cup and adding 150 grams of milk. Now we're going to put this mixture inside of the microwave for 20 to 25 seconds in order to heat it up to 80 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. And now that we have our milk mixture heated up, we're going to add 7 grams of yeast. Now we're going to take a whisk, mix that up, and set that aside and let it bloom for about 5 minutes. Now let's get our dry ingredients made while the yeast blooms. Starting with 500 grams of bread flour. Next up is 35 grams of sugar and 10 grams of salt. Now we are going to take our dry ingredients, throw them onto a stand mixer with a dough hook attachment, lower the head, and let that mix for a couple seconds just to incorporate the dry ingredients. Now we're going to take our milk mixture and stream that into the dry ingredients on the side of the bowl. Now we're going to let this machine run on low to medium speed to let it incorporate the dry ingredients and wet ingredients into a nice dough. Once the stand mixer has incorporated this into a nice dough, we're going to let this knead on medium speed for about 3 or 4 minutes to develop the gluten network. And once you have a smooth, sticky dough, you're going to roll it up into a ball and perform the window pane test. And once that's done, you're going to start adding 100 grams of room temperature softened butter into the dough, 1 little cube at a time. You're going to add 1 cube, turn the mixer on to low to medium speed, and let the butter fully incorporate into the dough before adding the next cube. Then it's just a simple process of repeating until all of the butter has been incorporated into the dough. And here we have our smooth, supple, and extraordinarily buttery dough. So we're going to form this into a ball by stretching the sides out, tucking them underneath, and then repeating on the other sides. This is going to pull it into a ball and form a seam at the bottom. We're going to place it seam down on the counter, and we're going to place both our hands with our pinkies resting against the counter and the ball of dough. And then we are going to twist the ball of dough, applying pressure to both the counter and the ball of dough with our pinkies. Just like so. What that's going to do is it's going to pull it taut into a ball and close up the seam on the bottom. So we're going to take this, place it back into the bowl that we just used. Then we are going to cover this with a kitchen towel and let it rest at room temperature for about 1 hour or until doubled. Now the dough has been rising for 1 hour. We're going to get a plate on a scale and make sure that it's zeroed out, and then we're going to turn out our dough onto it. The weight of this dough is 996 grams. That means that we want 8 balls of 124 grams each. So we're just going to cut off a piece of dough equivalent to 124 grams and set that aside. Once you've got all your dough, you're going to take 1 ball. What we're going to do is we're going to stretch out the sides and fold them in. We're going to repeat that a couple times to form a seam at the bottom as well as a taut surface. Then we're going to place that on the table and repeat the rolling process like we did earlier. What that's going to do is it's going to form into a ball, and we have a nice smooth top as well as a closed seam. Then we're just going to place this on a baking tray lined with parchment paper and repeat with the rest of our dough. Now while we prepare our egg wash and sesame seed topping, we're just going to cover this with that same clean kitchen towel just to make sure they don't dry out. So now into a bowl, we're going to crack in 2 eggs. Then we're going to add a pinch of salt. And in order to have an egg wash that's as smooth as possible, I'm going to immersion blend it. So now that leaves us with a smooth egg wash. And here I've got a bowl of toasted sesame seeds. So we'll grab a ball of our dough, dunk it upside down into the egg wash, and then dip into the sesame seed. What that's going to do is give us an even and perfect distribution of sesame seeds once the bun has risen. Here we have our brioche hamburger buns that are ready to rise for their second proof. I'm just going to take another baking tray, place it inverted on top of this one, and let it rise for 45 minutes or up to an hour until the bread has proofed. Now the buns have been proofing for another 45 minutes. I've got the oven preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and now I'm going to throw these into there for 30 to 35 minutes or until well browned and fully baked through. Alright, now our buns are out of the oven and looking beautiful. So we're just going to remove them and slide them off onto a wire rack, just like so. And now we are going to let these cool fully to room temperature before using them. Now we're going to make some quick pickles, starting with a full long cucumber. So we're going to take a knife and we're going to cut this into thin strips, just about this thick. I like me some nice and thick pickles. Now we are going to take these cucumbers and we're going to put them inside of a nice large bowl, to which we are going to add 1 tablespoon of black peppercorns, 1 teaspoon of mustard seeds. I've got 4 cloves of fresh garlic, and a nice couple handfuls of dill. We're just going to add all of that into the bowl and stir this up with a fork, just to make sure everything is nice and incorporated. Now we are going to set that aside and prepare the pickling liquid. So for our pickling liquid, we are going to start with 1 cup of vinegar and 1 cup of water. To which we are going to add a nice strong tablespoon of salt and a strong tablespoon of sugar to that as well. Now we're going to bring this up to a simmer and let that go just until the salt and sugar have fully dissolved. Now that this has been brought up to a simmer, we're going to kill the heat and pour that over top our cucumbers that are ready to be pickled. So we are going to cover this with a lid and let this cool down to room temperature. By then it will have pickled the cucumber and it will be ready to consume. Next up is going to be to make a coleslaw, starting with the humble cabbage. So we're going to start by cutting this in half. And as you can see, it has a core. We're going to start by cutting that out by making a diagonal cut on each side of the core. That's going to wedge out the core without wasting any of the cabbage. Now we are going to slice this in half, and we are going to finely shred this. And we're going to be weighing out a total of 11 ounces. And I'm also going to thinly slice a jalapeno that has been de-seeded in order to add a little bit of heat and freshness to this. We're going to add a little pinch of salt and toss that together. Now let's go ahead and get the dressing made. Now it's time to make some coleslaw dressing, starting with 1 tablespoon of full-fat Greek yogurt. Then we're going to add 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Then we're going to add the juice of 1 lemon. Then finally, salt and pepper to taste. And give that a thorough whisking. Now we're going to take our vegetable mix and add in our dressing. And toss that together. And here we have our coleslaw that is ready to be used. The first step for this fried chicken is going to be to get the marinade ready for it. We're going to start with 1 cup of buttermilk, add about 1 tablespoon of cayenne pepper, 1 tablespoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of black pepper. And now we are going to give that a whisk. And now we are going to add to that 1 kilogram of chicken thighs. And now we are going to massage in the marinade with our hand. Now that we've got our chicken marinating, it's time to cover this with plastic wrap and let it rest in the fridge for 4 hours up to overnight. Next up is going to be to get our seasoned flour ready to dredge our chicken. The start of which is going to be around 4 cups of flour. We're going to add a good amount of cayenne pepper, as well as pepper and salt, both to taste. Then we're going to stir that up with a fork. Okay, now we're going to take our marinated chicken. We're going to very simply remove it from the marinade and immediately dredge it inside of the flour. You'll want to make sure to get every crevice of the chicken nice and coated. Then we are going to set that aside on a baking tray lined with parchment paper and repeat with the rest of our chicken.
It's fine.
And here we have our chicken that is dredged and ready to be fried. Here we have about halfway up to the pot filled with nice oil, heated up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're going to take our chicken and drop it in batches, frying 2 to 3 pieces at a time. We're going to let these fry for about 5 to 7 minutes total, or until nice and deep golden brown. And here we have our nice crispy brown pieces of chicken. So we're just going to remove this onto a baking tray lined with paper towels and repeat with the rest of our chicken. And immediately once they're out of the fryer, we are going to hit them with a little bit of extra salt. And here we have our fried chicken that is ready to go. So now all that's left to do is to plate this up. And give it a little squish. There we go. Here we are at plating. So I've started by getting 2 of our nice brioche buns toasted with some butter in a pan. Next up, I'm going to take some of our coleslaw, and I'm going to add a generous helping right on the bottom bun. Then I'm going to take my favorite piece of fried chicken and throw that on top, as well as a few of our nice thick cut pickles. Then we are going to crown this king and give it a little squish. And here we have our chicken sandwich ready to go. So now all that's left to do is to eat this, so let's go ahead and taste it. Now it's time for the taste test. So let's get started by cutting this in half. Okay. Now let's go in for a taste test. All right. Cheers. That is so good. The chicken is extremely light, it's tender, it's juicy, it's flavorful, it's extremely meaty, and it's super delicious. Then you get the coleslaw, it's light, it's herbaceous, you get a little bit of heat from the jalapeno, you get a lot of freshness from the cabbage. You get a little bit of acidity with the lemon juice that's in the coleslaw. It brings it all together with an extra layer of flavor. The butter adds that nice nuttiness, that richness, and a little bit of crispness to the bread. The bread itself is super fluffy, it's moist, it's fatty, it's rich, it's absolutely incredible. It all comes together to give you this experience in your mouth that is just absolutely incredible. So that is going to be all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Recipes are going to be down in the description down below as usual. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Oh my god, I got it perfect. 162.
What do you want?
160. Boom.
Not too much this time.
Ian, I will throw this whisk at you. I don't care if it's employee abuse. I will throw it at you.
Tiny little wee.